Welcome to the FOCIS podcast, brought to you by the FOCIS Communications Committee.
Well, hello, Dr. Taams. Thank you for taking the time to interview with us today. Why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself?
Thank you. I am Leonie Taams. I'm a professor of immune regulation and inflammation at King's College London, where I'm also the director of the FOCIS Center of Excellence. And I've been involved with FOCIS for quite a number of years, and I have the honor of being part of the board of directors, and I'm also part of the communications committee.
Wonderful. Well, thank you for being here today. To start off our interview, what would you say attracts you to the field of immunology?
Well, the immune system is just a very fascinating biological system. It's really dynamic, it's responsive, and importantly, from a scientific and clinical perspective, we can manipulate it. And when I started my career in immunology, the immune system was, of course, known to play a role in autoimmune diseases and infection. But now we really start to realize that the immune system contributes to so many different diseases or disorders, ranging from cancer, neurodegenerative diseases. So basically, the immune system is everywhere. It influences a huge amount of physiological systems. And, you could go as far to say that the immune system plays a role in any possible disease.
Oh, well, that sounds very exciting. So what would you say, what research have you conducted that you're most proud of?
Well, actually, I'm really proud of my lab. So all the members in my lab that have helped me in the past and that are still working with me, I'm extremely proud of them and seeing them progress in their careers. Some of them stay as immunologists, but a lot of them actually start to do lots of other things. But actually, from a scientific point of view, I am very proud of the work that we did when we were part of the first description of regulatory T cells in humans. We've done a lot of work on IL-17 biology, and particularly on IL-17 producing CD8 T cells and their very particular role in psoriatic arthritis. And very recently, my lab is now really starting to work a lot on neuroimmune interactions, and particularly not just what drives inflammation in rheumatoid arthritis and psoriatic arthritis, but also what drives pain. And this is a really important clinical unmet need by the patients. And I'm really proud that my lab is starting to make contributions in that field.
That sounds great. How did you first get involved with FOCIS?
I started quite a few years ago now when the then director asked me to take over from him as the FCE director. And since then, I've been the director, and through that, I became part of the FCE committee. And then after that, I was invited to join the board of directors. And so now I'm also contributing to one of the committees in FOCIS. And of course, through that, I come and join a lot of the conferences each year.
And then if your colleagues asked you why they should join FOCIS, what would you tell them?
I think if you want to be an all-round immunologist, then FOCIS is the place to be, an all-round translational immunologist, I should say. FOCIS is really broad. It makes you look outside of your own field or outside of your own discipline. It ranges from basic mechanisms to the latest clinical therapies. And it really helps you realize what else is going on beyond perhaps the piece of work that you're conducting yourself.
Great. So then, do you have any advice to share with someone starting out in the field?
It's always interesting when you start out, you've got a lot of energy, you want to do a lot of things, but where do you start? So my advice is always to focus, to have a good mentor, find really good collaborators, and learn to say no. Every time you say yes to something, you say no to something else. So really be careful what you say yes and no to, and don't do everything at once. You know, there's a long period ahead of you, a long career. Things can come at later stages. Be careful what you think, what you start with at the beginning.
That's really great advice. And then to wrap up this interview, what are you most excited about when it comes to the future of autoimmune research?
I think the field has changed dramatically. When I started as a PhD student, a lot of autoimmune research was done in animal models. And now we can do so much using human samples, patients, experimental medicine methods. The technologies are amazing. We can really look in depth in what's going on in the tissue, how people respond to treatments. And so I think the real shift to human samples and human science is amazing, and that will continue to be like that. I think the other thing is the continuous change and advances in types of therapies that can be used to treat autoimmune diseases. So there will be some very fascinating insights coming through, I think, certainly in coming years and probably even in coming months.
All right. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to interview with us.
Thank you.
And now we will hear from Dr. Bueno, who is involved in one of our focus centers of excellence.
All right. Thank you, Dr. Bueno, for taking the time to interview with me today. Why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself?
Okay, thank you very much for inviting me. I'm Susan Bueno. I'm a full professor from Catholic University in Chile, in Latin America, South America, actually. And I'm also an associate investigator in the Milenio Institute on Immunology and Immunotherapy, which is a FOCIS Center of Excellence. And also I'm a member of the Chilean Academy of Science in Chile.
Wonderful. Well, it's great to have you here. So to start off, what research have you conducted that you're most proud of?
Well, I believe the most important research we have been doing and we did in the Millennium Institute on Immunology and Immunotherapy, which I was part of, was our contribution to the development of vaccines during COVID-19 pandemic. Actually, I was part of the group that finished the development of inactivated vaccines for SARS-CoV-2, and that led us to get vaccines to the Chilean and also Latin America and other countries that allow us to initiate early vaccination in 2021 and in amounts that were required and enough to immunize the full population in our country. Actually, Chile was one of the countries that was leading the vaccination rollout. So we were part of that, and we are really proud of that.
Wow, that sounds very exciting. So what would you say is next for you in the future of your career?
Okay, I think that the pandemic of COVID-19 teach us that this kind of emergency and health emergency are always a threat for the humanity, and we need to be prepared for that, for the next one. We don't know where, when, and where it's going to start. So it's really important to be prepared, and this is part of the work we have ahead to prepare all the countries in the teaching and also the training in immunology to be prepared for our next pandemic. And in that area, I believe that a challenge today is the technology that is advancing very fast. And it's really important to get more information and get most of our data for developing strategies and biomedical products that will allow us to cope with these kind of emergencies in the future. So we need to provide the access to all these tools and technology to everybody, especially in countries that are like Latin America, that requires this kind of developments.
Oh, well, that sounds great. And then to wrap up this interview today, would you be able to briefly describe the importance of translational research as a part of the approach to advancing treatment and care for autoimmune patients?
Absolutely. I believe, and everybody knows, and there is important data about that, about the rise of autoimmune disease all over the world. So it's really important to create this connection within basic and clinical research to generate the most appropriate tools for the care of patients in different countries. Definitely, the incidence of some of these diseases are different in different countries. So it is important to get the data about the rise of these diseases in different populations, and then the connection with the basic science that is being developed in the specific places, and also with all the connections that, for instance, we have with FOCIS, is to create these advanced and also personalized treatments that will be the future for this important rise of diseases.
All right, wonderful. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to interview with us.
Thank you very much.